So we started to pivot when we were with I Am Athlete, and then we had to break off from that. Business wasn't right, you know what I'm saying? And just the respect, the valuing of people, their talents, and their abilities.
Yeah.
And so we had to leave that, I'll call it a toxic kind of situation. And then me and Freddie been cool for years. And,
So wait, level of toxic. It was toxic.
listen, well, it was just the power struggle, and the business wasn't set up right. So like I said, we have the pivot LLC set up. We have the whole structure coming down to our own personal LLCs. How much getting paid? Alicia Zubikowski, our producer, like we already have our budget set. Like everything was set up business wise. It wasn't like that, with the first with I Am Athlete. So that's when I think when everything kind of blew up. It wasn't the initial structure wasn't set up right, so that's when the disrespect started happening. But now we're working backwards to try to get business done, and then you see how they value you. So then me and Freddie wanted to go out, and it's funny. RC was the first name on the list when we sat down and talked like, Fred, let's do something. We're really helping people. People DMing us, tweeting us, texting us like, man, this episode did this. You talked about your dad in this episode, so we heard that we were really helping people. So we were like, we got to keep doing this in some shape, form, or fashion. And we already had Alicia, all the production team, and the technical side of it. She's a damn genius.
Right.
And so we still wanted to bring in another person. And everybody asked if it wasn't Ryan, who would it be? And me and Freddie laughed, and we have a number two. We said, RC gonna make it happen, and then we'd have to pivot if he would have said no. But we talked, RC was all in, and then they're 5 months in now. We got something rolling.
I want to pivot and just go back a second, because I'm a good person. I've always, considered myself a good person, respectful, and I do right by people. And one thing about me, I'm always trying to keep my face clean, in business or whatever it might be. And I ask for that, in return. And he talked about disrespect. And we've taken the high road. Like it can get a lot messier, right? And I don't want to sound like, we're gossip girls or we do anything, because we're all men. And you try to treat people accordingly. But when people blatantly try and take advantage of not only you and insult your intelligence, acting as if you don't understand business, that's an insult. You preach and you throw entrepreneurship around, but you don't have to treat people like shit. It's some people on this side owe well over $500,000 from that other side. And that has never been said or discussed. But you're such a businessman, and you're making these moves, and things look the way they're supposed to look on the outside. And people come at us and say, y'all could have stayed, y'all could have made it work. You black men, you're trying to do this and that. We're going to make it work. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't have an agenda. We don't have pride. We don't have egos. And we don't care who gets the credit at the end of the day. And we have our structure together in our business. That part is going to dictate and do what it does. And we try to let that go so people can't look at it's them versus us or us versus them. I wish them well. I always
It's
do.
never going to change.
It's not going to change, but we're going to always be, people going to say, I can't name that show. I can't. And a lot of times people pit us against them and vice versa. And I respect certain guys over there still. And I still hope that the other person who we were once with, I wish him well in all his endeavors. Because I'm just not a shitty person. I don't get down like that, regardless of how things came about. And at times I just want to let it rip. Even now, I'm still trying not to dig too deep, because it's more. It's a lot more. I mean, it's a lot more. And people know that I'm saying this, and they'll probably see this. They know I'm serious. Like, they're like, Freddie, like if you got Fred to go here, like something really happened. You know what I'm saying? So I think if you're gonna put your chest out and beat it, button up your business. Make sure everybody's square. Don't go out there and have an agenda where you want to do a lot of messy shit. Even to this day, attacking our people we're affiliated with, like it's bringing you down a level because you have to react this way. But it's enough for that, because I don't want to give too much credit, to something that, what they say, don't hit the table legs.
No.
Because
I've never heard that.
we're gonna do our thing.
The old country say.
Yeah. We're gonna still do our thing, you know, and try to be positive when we do it and not messy, right? But at the same time, we just hope that take care of our people. You know, you owe money, you do this and that. Handle business. You want to talk business, handle business. That's it. Don't tell the public that bullshit. Handle business. That's that.
I'm gonna say this. This is all I'm gonna say because I wasn't part of that. For him to be here from where we started is a very far departure of anything they've ever learned. You know, I will say that about both of them. You know, coming into the situation and not being a part of the last thing. I was as much as I love them now, which is way more than when it started. You know, I was like, hey man, I'm out of that part. You know, I was like, as far as what the other side has been to me, we've never really had no issues. Y'all get to handle that the way you want to handle it. And I will say this, they were both, we don't want it to be messy. We don't want it to be gossipy. We don't want to tell all the business. We don't want to truly let people know how we're treated. And it was really on the strength of Black men doing business, you know. And so I think I believe like the things that have transpired since with the way that they wanted to handle it, it's actually kind of sad, you know what I mean? Because we've said it many times on the show, especially very early. I said it, everybody can win. You know, we have never, I don't think, like, we won't wish bad on anyone, especially anybody that looks like us, who's trying to provide for their family. And so I do think, like, in general, we just wish that everybody could just move forward, do the right thing, square everybody up, and then, you know, life goes on. We both have some great shows.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about the content too. Like, you guys have this gift of being able to make people comfortable and having like a listening ear and bringing out, you know, some real stuff that they wouldn't talk about normally, right? And so I was wondering, one, if, you know, you're coming from this perspective where athletes are, you know, not happy about the sports writers that are asking questions, right? Like Marshawn is a good example. Like I appreciated him every time he said, I'm here just so I don't get fined, right? Because they're asking no questions.
Yeah.
So was that your perspective, like you wanted to do something deeper as a result of being athletes and having these questions that were not really, you know, in-depth, like that weren't substantive?
For me, it's just the locker room. It's an extension of the locker room life. You know, just talk, have a conversation, a wholesome conversation. And, you know, a lot of times people come in with an agenda. Sometimes they want to be heard, so they'll have certain things that they want to get out. So you sort of see, you know, you identify that angle quickly. And you just let the conversation go. And what Ryan has taught me, don't interrupt, right? So, because I used to get interrupted a lot. Let me speak or let me finish. Well, I talk slow, so it might take a while. So no, it's just really about just letting the guests be the guest and let them, you know, converse, and that usually makes for a good show when you just let them, you know, tell their story, or you have different bullet point questions that, you know, via research, things that I personally want to know. But once they start going, then you have follow-ups. So I can go see which way Ryan is going, which way Channing is going. And it really, we can kind of just make eye contact and look at each other and really take the show this way, because we have pretty good chemistry. He's gonna button it up and hit him with, you know, the real journalistic views and shape it up that way.
Such a nerd.
Well,
No, you're not a nerd, but it's well thought out. And the presentation
All the time.
it is what it is, right? Otherwise, this black man will not be on ESPN, right? So it's the presentation, and he does an amazing job at it. Chan on Chan. That's what he's gonna.
That's the same.
He's
Chan
like,
on Chan.
He's gonna do his thing.
He's like the relationship sex expert,
Yeah.
right?
Because we know Chan.
Well, he's not a sex expert, man.
Oh.
I just want you to know.
Hey, no, I got 3 kids. I just had a baby.
That has nothing. Chan, that has nothing to do with how much you know about sex.
I know it all.
You see, so this is the show. But this is like you're the guest now, even though you're the interviewer.
Exactly.
This is the show, but
Yeah.
this is how it all comes together, and
Right.
that's just what happens. But that's what it is, and we just sort of the ice breaks itself, and the guests just we just have a great conversation.
Yeah, like, I think Freddie hit on the head. Like, to answer your initial question,
Yeah.
we never said this show, last show, we got together, we had pre-show meeting. We never say, let's ask better questions than the media asks.
Right.
Right.
It's really just, RC says all the time, everybody has a story. Everybody in the world has a story. Let's just get into your story. Let's just get into, like you say, some people do come with an agenda. They want to do business, they want to talk about business, they want to talk about life, they want to talk about their struggle, their depression. Like some people come and no matter what question you ask them, they're going to get back to what they want to talk about. But some people come and just want to like that locker room vibe. And it's what we have, because in the locker room, there's going to be the nerds. there's going to be the OGs.
Yeah.
Because that's what Fred is. He's the OG.
I come from a world where it's about my opinion. I watch a ton of film. I don't necessarily lead shows, but I've told people forever that I could. Like, why can't I host? Why can't I talk basketball? Why can't I do this? Because they put you in that football player box. And so this has been a blessing for me. But I remember, because obviously I watched them, before, and like all I could think of was like the shows were about them. Like I didn't necessarily like tune in for the guests. And so like I remember after we did our first show, my thought was like that every show would be a group podcast, right? Like I never wanted to be an interview. You know what I'm saying? Like I wanted to hear Freddie's take on the things that we're having a conversation about. I wanted to hear Channing's take on the things we were having a conversation about. I wanted to give my take, right? I wanted us to be able to have opinions and talk. And I think one thing that I think Fred does excellent is before he asks a question, he always imparts some sort of wisdom, right? And so I think Freddie has found a way to involve himself in the shows like that. And so like initially I was like, this is a podcast of us four, of us three. That's like, and the guest is just a part of our podcast. That was my thought. And so we did a couple of shows, and from the beginning I kind of led the shows, and that wasn't something we decided. It was because the first show was about why we started this show. Right? So it was really no way for me to be a part of the first conversation. So I asked them questions, and that's just kind of how it came about. And so we did Najee Houston, which is definitely like my worst show, just being honest.
Long weekend.
And it was a long weekend. Right. And like Fred was talking about, like he talked slow, and like it kind of like took him a while to get to the point, and I kept cutting him off. And because I wasn't cutting him off because I didn't want to hear him. I was cutting him off because I wanted him to get to what I'd studied because I knew it was there. It just took him a while, And our producer, Alicia Zukowski, like she's kind of gotten on to me. She was like, RC, you gotta stop cutting people off. And I told her though, I was like, well, I want the podcast to be like about all of us, and I wanted to flow and I wanted to move. And she was like, look, and she is, like, she didn't tell me this, but she's the best in the world at what she does. And she was like, even if they stop talking, or if they talk forever and it's not good, I'll edit it and nobody will ever know what happened. She's like, even if there's space between them stopping and you asking a question, she was like, but if you let them talk, eventually they'll say something. And so now we've gotten to a point to where we don't try to lead anybody anywhere. We don't ask questions that push you to a place. It's like, here's, I kind of set it up. Here's what I know. Here's who you are. Here's the question. Go ahead. And we legit, like, what you see, like, there's been times, like, people might talk for like 15 minutes, and we legit just sit there.
Well, the Michael Beasley one, I mean, like, that was a conversation. That wasn't even an
What you call him?
Michael Beasley.
I thought you said Mike.
Mikey. No, they knew each other, right? I mean, they've been in B-More, they've been in this.
But anyway, yeah, that was a conversation, right? And I mean, it got real deep.
Yeah.
Like he's crying the whole night. And what's Charles Haley,
Yeah.
I mean, it was really, you always have fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Mess around.
And Shaq, like that one went mainstream because everybody was talking about how he took accountability for divorce. And that's like something that that's just rare for any man, you know,
Right.
white athlete.
See, but that goes back to not to say Shaq had an agenda, but the comfort level that
Right.
he, from seeing previous shows. You know, he talked about Beasley, and he jokingly, he said, "Y'all, he gonna make me cry." And then before you know it, Channing walked in, "Oh, ugly ass boy!" Like, so the ice breaks itself sometime because, you know, people come on and they see this is a good group of brothers that are trying to do it the right way. Like, we ain't trying to be messy or dramatic, you know, or anything like that. And you know, the show is 100% authentic, non-scripted. We have bullet points, you know, so we don't want to look unprofessional. We want to make sure we do our research and homework just to start, but where it goes from there, we never, ever know. But respectfully, we will, most of the shows you watch, he talked about the editing work. It's not edited like that. It's like, that's what it is. We'll talk for an hour, and we're gonna do a 50-minute show, 48-minute show, and people are asking for more, but they gotta understand that we gotta have something come back. You gotta want to, you know, come back. We don't want it to be long, long-winded.
So do you cut it off exactly at 48 minutes?
No. It really depends on how good it is.
Right.
Like, we have some hour-long shows. We have some.
A ton of shows you have seen in their entirety.
Right.
Yeah, a ton of shows. So, but like, we try to keep shows to like 45 minutes, just because we feel like that's a place, you know, and we get it all the time. Like, the show should be longer. I'd rather you tell me the show should be longer than tell me the show is too long.
Right.
Right. It's like to me, it's like an album. Right. Like, there's some albums they give you 21 songs, and you only listen to 12. You might love those 12. But you judge the album on all 21 songs.
Correct.
Right? So it's not a classic because it was 9 songs too long. Whereas you give me 13, and I love 12 of them, and I can just sit in my car and let it play. What I say, that's a classic. And I think we're more so into doing classics than working just to work. And I think like the other part of it is too, man. Like, especially like these two and, you know, Alicia, our producer, like, they've had success. You know, like that was what drew me to it. You know, it's like, nah, they know how to do it. Like, I just gotta get there, play my role, do what I gotta do. And now we're starting to evolve, man, to a point that it's like, it's such a non-verbal communication we have, which if you were there, you'd be like, this is really awkward. You know what I mean? Because we can't talk. Because we can't talk during. And so, like, we're trying to communicate. And so we're like, I'm like, you know, like, I'm swinging my foot at people. And Channing's like, and then I'm like, you know what I mean?
It's a lot of that. But just really quick, what Ryan said, man, and, you know, when he said we had success, right? I mean, I love what we're doing, right? And this is our thing, Black owned, but it's not just a Black show. We're going to push the limit. You know, we're going to show that we're versatile and we have some range. And, you know, it ain't just we didn't set out to do that, but we know we're comfortable enough and we're good enough and we know each other well enough that we can push the limit and have guests like Caitlin Jenners and the Shaqs and the Beasleys and the Janet Kramers, you know, whatever, regardless of what people think. They want it to be just a Black podcast because they see 3 Black men.
Right.
That ain't the case, right? But the point I was going to make is,
did Caitlin come to you? That was a great one too.
we went to her place.
Okay.
We were at her home in Malibu, and she just opened the doors and was just an
I mean,
open
did
book.
you reach out or did she reach out?
Connections, relationships. You know, again, Alicia Bukowski, like, she's a good-hearted, just a great person. And, you know, and you call for a favor, extend a favor, do favors in return, and it's all networking. We don't have a booking agent, you know, so it's all, you know, hey, what's up, text, DM, we might DM, so, like, it's whatever, to try to keep the show pivoting. But, again, the point I was going to make is that we had success. and we look at it and say, damn, it could have been this. You know, unfortunate it's not, but damn, it could have really been this. Like, that show supposed to be at 1 million plus subscribers and all of that good stuff. And we know it was a part of that. We helped build that. So that's when the disrespect hits a little harder, right? I'm far removed from it, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But you look at it and say, damn, no, I could have won a Super Bowl with this team. I helped build it to get it to that point.
Right.
But unfortunately, I'm not there, and that's the business and the nature of it. So I got to do my thing with over here and try to build to get to that point.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a little longer, and whatever the case may be, but we feel like we're going to do it. You know, not to say they still have a good show. We have a great show, and that's all it is. Like, we don't have an agenda. Like, we just want to just put out good, authentic conversations. I don't even call it content, but conversations, and let the people, you know, have at it. And that's that.
And it became popular really quick, right?
Yeah.
Like, you guys have taken off much faster than even that show took up. Or,
I mean, it's different dynamics because we were all in the house when we started, you know, the other thing. We were in the pandemic, you know, and it was an opportunity to get more, you know, eyes and what were people doing? People were looking for stuff to do, see, watch, conversations to listen to, right? And we did that. But even now, we're all over the place trying to do it. We're in New York today, probably be in Atlanta next week, LA, Vegas, back in New York, Jersey. Like, we're just making moves to make this thing happen, and we're okay with that. There's a lot of sacrifices that people don't see. There's a lot of behind the scenes that people can be a fly on the wall and see the behind the scenes and see how much fun we really have. This is work, we grind. Well, we gotta grind, but we also have fun and enjoy each other. Like, really enjoy each other. That's dope shit.
Yeah.
No, you're quiet.
I am.
So what has been the impact, like what kind of feedback do you all get, especially from Black men? Like what have people said and what specific episodes like have really resonated with people?
Beasley hit a lot of people.
Yeah.
Beasley hit a lot of people because you could feel his hurt. So a lot of people call, a lot of people just, even if you're not going through the same thing he is,
Yeah.
for a man that big and that respected and ex-NBA athlete, and like to see him, you know, like level himself down and just be like, man, I'm tired. Like when he did that, when he sat back, put his hands up and said, I'm tired. Like it just kind of, even now, like it kind of like I got chills just thinking about that scene. And that one got a lot of feedback from that, but it's just different things in every episode. And that's why at first I'm like doing it for the culture. We do. Because there's 3 Black men up there running this show. If we have a guest sitting down, we're gonna limit our demographic of guests because we're a black owned and black run show. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
You have an interesting story. I don't care what color you are, what you look like, what sex you are. Sit down and have our own company. We own the Pivot. Let's sit down and talk to somebody. So we sit down and do that. And so the representation there, when people talk about, you know, going outside doing the thing, the representation I see, and my 10-year-old son watches the show. And he can see daddy up there with his homeboys, and we have a show that millions of people watch. And the impact it has on people was one of the reasons why we had to move, because people just say, you know, I watched this episode, that episode, it made me call my dad. I haven't talked to my dad in 4 years. I watched the episode that made me call my dad. And just, you hear those stories. The views are great, you know, the money that comes in, the sponsorships and all, and the relationships we gained are amazing. But when somebody DMs me I never talked to and says, I watched this episode and it made me talk to my dad I ain't talked to in 7 years. That's when you know you got to keep doing this because you're affecting people's lives.
Chance summed it up. I felt myself talking too much.
No, we like it.
People love you.
Nah, Chan, you hit it on the head, man. That's the thing. We know each other well enough that we know when enough is enough. We know when to expound on the conversation. I think the only conversation we didn't go forward with is because we were just doing something for our Clips channel. Was the thing that went viral with Channing and the Russ comment.
Oh, I missed that one. What was that one?
When I called Russell Wilson Square, and everybody got all up in arms about it.
Yeah, because that wasn't even about that, right?
Yeah.
So that was just a conversation about free agency. But we were going so quick because we had other stuff to do. So we didn't even think twice about it, and even releasing it was like, it's just free agency. And it kind of, you know, it gave the table legs. And that's what came of it. But respectfully, we don't do anything messy. You know, people pick and choose what part of the conversation that they want to repost or whatever. Because even in that same take, right? Well, I don't call it a take, but in that conversation, Ryan and I both said, women want peace. That was me. Ryan said people don't want toxicity. And Sharon said this thing, and people are opinionated. People say this or that or whatever. At the end of the day, they know Russ is an amazing father, husband, friend, all that stuff. And but they picked and chose what they wanted, and you know that was that.
That's also social media.
That's social media,
you know,
for sure.
There's a whole gender war thing going on in
Social media, the whole thing.
I think you know this is an opportunity like you guys can have full discussions rather than what happens on social media, where it's just, you know, kind of back and forth, and there's no you know, in-depth discussion about relationships. And you are.
He's not though.
Okay.
Like that's
I am.
like he's not.
I am.
I don't know how you get to be that because you
My
talk
wife
about
is my best friend.
you talk about
We're
jumping off
tight.
the end table.
I jump off the end table. We play games. I have a whole drawer full of crazy vibrating shit. Crazy wild stuff with doubles, things poking out.
Oh,
Oh my goodness. I don't know where it wraps around. My shoulder goes up underneath somewhere. My leg got a door swing.
I mean,
You got a clip for a door swing?
How do a big ASS get the door?
I don't get the door swing. Asia gets the door swing. You think I'm in the door swing?
He's trying to do nasty, man. You might be. In baby pose. Sheesh.
I mean, he's kind of proving his point.
No, he's
Yeah.
I will give him this. His wife is amazing. They do have an excellent marriage or relationship, so I'm not mad at that at all. I think like the cool thing is you try to expand conversations, and we just honestly just doing the best we can. You know, I think like every episode we do is a new world for us. You know, and I think there are some that are more comfortable than others from the sense of like we understand, like we kind of know, we don't know where the conversation will go, but we know we are prepared to handle.
Yeah.
You know, like Michael Beasley was a conversation we didn't know where it was going to go, but we were prepared to handle it.
Antonio Brown was
Yeah, but that was just foolishness, so that was easy. He was just talking, you know, and so like we allowed him to talk and share. So I think we've been able to attract people that others want to hear, which is 75% of it. The rest is giving them the space to be uniquely them in our platform, in our space, you know, to make them feel like they can share something publicly that they haven't shared before. Some of the best conversations we've ever had, not necessarily the best information that's gotten out about people, but the best conversations we've ever had with guests happen before and after our show. Just because we get opportunity to share more about ourselves and sharing more about yourself, they tell you different things about them, and so I think that's why the show has been really successful.
So I know we all have to.
Yes.
The last thing is what is next for the show? What do you guys want?
Hell, we don't know.
That's the truth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, we're just building. Like we use the analogy, and RC has a great one where like your first year in the league, you don't think about going to the Hall of Fame. You think about making a team, maybe playing special teams, then maybe starting on defense, then I might be able to go to 1 Pro Bowl, 2 Pro Bowls, 8 Pro Bowls, and then you make the Hall of Fame. So we're really a rookie to this analogy, we're a rookie in the league. I think we're on the team. I think we've done enough to get on the team. But are we a Hall of Fame yet? Are we a Pro Bowl league? Before the Hall of Fame, you can't put the cart before the horse. So we're just grinding. I speak for all of us on this. We know we have great continuity in front of the camera. We know we have some stupid dogs behind the camera with Alicia Zukowski and her team and Charlie and those guys. Like, we know we set up the team, set up a business structure, and just set up something that is ready for whatever comes our way. So now we gotta let it come to us. I have a saying, everything's always gonna work out. And I really live that way. Like you ask, like, you don't need the airport, you don't need to always know exactly what gate changes. I always feel like I'll make my flight. But if they delay it, I'm gonna sit down and wait for the next one. Like, everything's always gonna work out. So we have a structure set up that's ready for as big as this thing blows up.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, it's not a whole lot to say, right? We're just gonna keep grinding, keep pivoting, taking advantage of whatever opportunity that presents itself, planting seeds. Whatever comes next, that's next. We'll just take it in stride. Yeah, the Caitlyn Jenner thing, we probably got that 12-hour.
Yeah, that was like late hour.
At 10 a.m. And we were out dinner or something.
Yeah.
It was already 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And we said, I bet. We didn't run from it. Did our quick research?
I'd be trying to run from it.
While we're trying to do some research and figure out different things, this guy, he's sleeping.
Every time we work out, he wakes up. Guys, everything always works out. The Rams are happy. And that was the other thing. The Rams are so happy because we were in LA
stuff for the
and work with the Rams,
And they shuffle.
Yeah, like this entire thing. I'm just gonna be honest with you. This entire thing is an accident.
Yeah.
No, because I don't think you can ever predict that chemistry would be a certain way. You also can't predict that people will get along. Fortunately, and I guess unfortunately, we spend a ton of time together, right? Like we just spend a load of time together because we're always on the road. The first conversation we had as a group was, okay, where are we going to shoot? How are we going to shoot? And we decided that we travel. Well, in that, like, everybody has to sacrifice. During the season, I travel more than they do. So initially, when this started, it was, we filmed our first thing, I think, like December 23rd or something. I was working, and I travel 4 days a week. And so they made the sacrifice, like, all right, we'll find a way to be where you are, and then we'll work to get a guest there or do something there. And then, or like we find somebody in Dallas, I fly out Wednesday morning from work to Dallas. And so, like that's how everything happened. But when you're with, like, when you make a plan to be somewhere with like 5 people, you do everything together, right? So you eat together, you drink together. Like most of the times when the nights are over, it's like, because we're going to sleep. It's like, hey man, I'll see y'all in the morning. And I think that's what's been really cool about the whole process is like I trust them. I've shared things with them about myself, about my life that other people don't know who aren't my friends. And I think we've been able to gain that. I also know that what is shared between us is between us. Like I never worry about it being somewhere else. And I think when you have that type of trust with people and friendship, it shows on camera. And I believe that's what happens with us.
Well, y'all gotta be guests on your own show.
It's happening.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna happen. Yeah, it's gonna like that is gonna happen. Some people have requested it. Freddie actually mentioned it probably like the second week we were together. And so that's something that we're going to do. We're excited about it. I got so many questions.
For yourself?
No, for next week.
Okay.
I cannot. Yeah, I cannot wait. Like that is like I can't wait to ask Shannon about what's his name, Vince. that gave you the skateboard, the rollerblades.
Oh yeah, the old man when I bust my teeth out. Yeah, that was old Vince.
He'll try to take your booty.
I think he was trying to take advantage of it. He didn't now. I snuck out with the rollerblades. Yeah, my episode gonna be 4 hours. We're gonna break my episode, it'll be a month long. I got so many stories.
This episode is gonna be a therapy session for the rest of y'all.
Exactly, right.
We got it. Say that. It's funny though, because a lot of people said that Freddie said
Freddie said to get it, yo.
it's like we should interview each other.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we do.
Hey, we can get Shaq. Oh shit.
They're gonna get sick.
We can get it.
Right.
You gotta do that.
Yeah. Yeah, we are definitely like the last guest on the list.
Oh yeah.
We are the bottom row. As the total poll goes,
Oh, yeah.
us three are last.
D minuses.
D minus. D-listers. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks
This
for
was awesome.
listening. I'll see y'all.
Yes, ma'am.